Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day in the ARK. I wanted to come to y'all today with Tucker's 10-minute morning motivation and tell you a little story about myself and how suicide saved my perception. And so, back in the day, I used to deal with a lot of. Thank you for joining me, Ula and Mary. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Today's topic is how suicide saved my perception, and I wanted to share. I wanted to share with everybody a little story about myself. By the way, if you can't tell, I still don't have glasses or contacts, so I have to get really close to the screen to see you. Thank you, Rich, for joining us this morning. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here, but I just want to tell y'all a little story about what happened to me and how my attempt at suicide actually saved my perception and brought me to where I am today. Back in the day, I was bullied to the extreme. I know at one point I was actually doused with gasoline and chased with lit Roman candles by a few guys. I used to come home with torn shirts all the time and things of that nature, just like any kid that got bullied would. Thank you very much for joining me, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Good morning, brother. Kevin's actually my guest on today's Stay Humble Hustle Hard Live, so y'all tune in for that at 10 a.m. But like I said, I was bullied and I was very depressed as a kid. I was living outside my purpose. I didn't know what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. Like every day was just a scary situation. I didn't want to be here. When I went to school, I was tormented. When I came home, it was an angry environment, and it was a very depressing place, and I didn't know how to escape it. I mean, life obviously was there. I actually saw. I hate to get off topic, but I saw a movie back then, and in that movie there was a line that I heard that said, "There are worse things than death," and that was what really pushed me over the edge, was that statement that there are worse things than death. And that's what I began to believe. So first I actually put a ski rope around my neck, and I had a metal bar. I tied the ski rope to a metal bar, put it through a window, and I actually jumped out of a 2-story window and attempted to hang myself. But somehow the ski rope broke. Thank you, Jamie, for joining me. Thank you, each and every one of y'all, for joining me this morning on Tucker's 10-minute motivation. The topic of the day is how suicide saved my perception. So, like I said, I attempted to hang myself, and that obviously didn't work because I'm still here. And so I'm laying there, and I'm just like, wow, really? So about a month later, I was prescribed Adderall, 30 milligram Adderalls, as a kid. And about a month later, I got a new script in, and I took 20 of them at once. 20, 30 milligram Adderalls. And if you didn't do the math there, that's 600 milligrams of pharmaceutical amphetamine, enough to make your heart explode. And I tried to end myself that way. I wanted to get away from everything, and obviously that didn't work. How, I don't know. I must have a guardian angel or something meant to do greater things. But I remember laying there. I took 20 of them, and I laid down and I went to sleep. And about 10 minutes later, I woke up. If you know anything about Adderall, you know why. I woke up about 10 minutes later, just wired. Like, I could not stop moving or anything. And I was like, okay, cool, this is it. My heart's gonna blow up. It's gonna be over. I won't have to worry about none of this no more, and all the pain will go away. And it didn't work. So I ended up, I gave up on it. I was like, obviously, it's not meant to happen. So I began going back to school and everything, and in school, it was just the same old thing. I mean, tormented by each and every person that I came across. Like the people who that say that they were there for me. I don't ever remember that being that way. I don't ever remember anyone actually being there. So there was a situation that had occurred, the Roman candle situation. I actually went over to a girl's house, and there were some guys from school over there, and they thought it would be funny to walk up to me while I was sitting around a campfire and pour gasoline over my head, completely drench me. So I'd quickly get away from the fire and then see a fireball fly past my head, and I'm like, what the hell? I turn around, and there's 3 guys sitting there with Roman candles lit, shooting them at me because I'm covered in gasoline. And I just was like, I couldn't understand. I was like, what have I ever done to you people to deserve this? Why would you do this to me? Like, I haven't done anything to y'all at all. I mean, I'm just here, just like y'all. I haven't done anything wrong. So I went home, and this is the actual shotgun shell that I loaded in a shotgun that day. I put it in my mouth, and I pulled the trigger with my toe, and it didn't go off. So the exact same object that I chose to take my life was the same one that saved it. The decision I made to end my life was saved by a default, an accident. And my perception of the world began to change in that moment. Think about that. The thing you choose to take your life saves you. And it did. Because after I pulled that trigger, I heard that click. And I looked around thinking, am I gone? What happened? And I pulled the gun away, and there was almost a silence that fell over. Ever since that day, I began thinking, like, looking at the world in a completely different view. And I actually looked up at an eagle's nest, because there was an eagle that lived down in Cane Creek, or a group of eagles that lived on Cane Creek down near where I lived, and I used to go down there and watch them. Well, I went down there shortly after this, and I'm sitting there by the water and just thinking, and I look up, and what I saw was an eagle's nest. This huge, beautiful construction in the top of a tree, and I saw an eagle. The eagle got up and flew away, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, that nest is just like me. It's just like everybody, because it is this beautiful construction composed of tons and tons of tiny broken pieces. The eagle's nest is made up of broken things, but once brought together, it makes a beautiful home. And I feel like that's how everybody works these days, and that is that the most beautiful things you will ever have in your life, whether it be your home or your heart, the most beautiful things are made up of broken things. And like I said, I said that this is the shotgun shell, the actual shell that I loaded in that gun that day and pulled that trigger, trying to take my own life. But it saved my life, and it kept me here for whatever reason. But my perception of the world changed that day. I came to understand that broken things make up the great things in this world. And that's where my saying comes from. Because I looked up and I got to thinking when I see that nest that is compiled of all these little broken things brought together for something beautiful. I really got to thinking about how the pain in your life and the things that you go through are preparing you for something great. And that's where my saying comes from: without the darkness, the light would hold no value. I came up with that day, and I began to look at things in a completely different way, completely different fashion. I began to give thanks for the little things that I had, because I didn't understand it completely in the moment, because it wasn't something that I wasn't studying self-help back then. I had never heard of Zig Ziglar. I had never heard of Les Brown. I had never heard of TED Talks. I had never seen a speech. I had never heard anyone stand and motivate the world. I had only seen darkness. I had only known pain. But in that moment, when I heard that click, and I saw that eagle's nest, and I realized that everything beautiful is the most beautiful things in the world are comprised of many broken pieces. That's when my perception changed, and I got to thinking, man, like, wow, look how short everything is. I mean, I could have been gone in an instant. I wouldn't be here today to talk to you. I wouldn't be here to give thanks for the things that I have. You wouldn't be here to give thanks for the things that you have. If what you had if you would have allowed your darkness to overcome you, and you were to have succumbed to the bad choices that were in your mind. So I have attempted suicide on 4 different occasions. Twice with poison, once with a rope, and finally with a shotgun that did not go off. I keep this. It's a reminder to give thanks each and every day for the moments we have here. So you can make all the money in the world. Money can be spent and earned back. But you don't get time back. Each and every second that you have here is valuable. Because the second it took me to pull the trigger with this shotgun could have been used to get someone else to take their finger off of the trigger. That second could have been used to bless someone. That second could have been the difference between life and living in my own world. And whatever happened in that gun that day that made that shotgun shell not go off is the reason that I'm sitting here today. You call it a guardian angel, say the good Lord is looking over me, or say that it was just destined to be that way. Whichever way you believe. But the most beautiful thing I think that came from that was the change in perception, the way that I look at the world. And people wonder, like when I get on lives with others and I'm interviewing them, or I'm being interviewed, a lot of times the things that I say, not to be arrogant, but they seem profound. And it's not that they're profound. It's simply that my job is to open your eyes to the reality that is already before you, that you've been blinded from through your own perception. So they say ignorance is bliss, and which it is. And that's that day I was ignorant. I was ignorant when I attempted to take my life on all four different occasions. I was that was ignorance that was driving me, because I believed that releasing my pain was the right way to go, when honestly I was being selfish in a sense, because I would have hurt many people around me and robbed each and every person who comes and listens to me every day, each and every person who I will stand on a stage and speak to. I will have robbed them of that experience, or have robbed them of hearing that message. I would have robbed them of value, because I believe that I was put here for a reason, and that is to stand on a stage and it's not about the money. It's not about the flashy lights, the cameras, or the popularity, or the likes on Facebook. That's not what any of this is about. It's about being the blessing for someone. It's about being that spark in the darkness, so that when someone else picks up that gun and they load it up like I did that day, that they might see just a little bit of light in the darkness. And if this round would have went off that day, if this shotgun shell would have done its job and taken my life, you would not be sitting here today listening to this and say that there's value that you have gotten from this live. You wouldn't have gotten that. See, I know that this is supposed to be 10 minutes long, and I apologize that today's session has not been 10 minutes. It's been more along the lines of around 20. But I'm telling you my story, or a little bit of it. And I see a few people have joined. Hey, Robert, thank you so very much. Ava, thank you very much. Susan, Turner Roark. Oh my goodness. Hey, Turner, thank you so much. Turner's actually my cousin. He was around back then whenever I was going through hell. But for those of y'all who are just tuning in, I attempted suicide 4 times, twice with poison, once with a rope, and finally with a shotgun that didn't go off. This is the actual shell that was loaded that day. But what I learned from those experiences was that the most beautiful things in this world are comprised of many broken pieces. The things that, if you look at marble, what makes marble beautiful? Take a closer look at it, and you'll find that it's the cracks. It's the little bitty imperfections in the marble. The little black smudges you see in marble are actually mineral imperfections. But that's what makes it beautiful. Is all those broken pieces come together to create something that the world deserves to see. And I believe that's the way it is with each and every one of you. That's the way it was with me. Suicide changed my perception. The attempt to suicide changed my perception, because it opened my eyes to what is really here, what I really have. Now I give thanks every morning. I wake up and give thanks for abundance. I wake up and give thanks for the good day I'm going to have before I have it. I wake up with joy, because I know what it's like to be in that second, that split moment when life isn't going to be here anymore. I'm sure all of you know someone in your life that was here, and out of nowhere, Turner Roark will know. He's one of the people viewing right now. He'll know where I'm coming from, because this is what happened with his dad, his father. Everything was fine. No reason whatsoever for anything to go wrong. And he walks outside, and he's gone in a single moment. Didn't expect it, didn't see it coming, had a heart attack and was gone. That's what can happen to each and every one of us, no matter how much health you have, no matter how much wealth you have, no matter where you are in life. It can end that fast. Whether it be by the choices that you make or simply because your time has come. So give thanks each morning when you wake up. Give thanks for things that you don't have yet. Give thanks for the things that you have. Have an attitude of gratitude towards everything that in your world. And know that each and every second you have, 86,400 seconds in a day? I think that's how many there are. Or, yeah, something like that. That's all you got in the day. And once it's gone, it's gone. And any one of those seconds, you could be gone. So, think about this. We know that we've covered that the most beautiful things in this world are made up of many broken pieces. If you don't believe me, look at an eagle's nest. But those few seconds, like now, a few moments from now, what you do in those seconds needs to be perceived as the last thing you'll ever do. Because it could be. I promise you that when you go, or when you die, if you're able to look back on this life from the other side, you will not regret the things that you have done, the things that you have said. You will regret the things that you didn't do and the things you didn't say, because you have the opportunity of a lifetime, and it's called your lifetime, your life. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining me today. I know that today's motivation was not 10 minutes, and I do apologize for that. But I believe that today's message holds so much value that I had to exceed my set time, because I really wanted y'all to understand and perceive how the most beautiful things in this world, the most wonderful things in this world, whether it be marble or whether it be an eagle's nest, are made up, are compiled of many, many little broken pieces. Without your darkness, without your pain, without your hardships, your life would hold no value whatsoever. The beautiful times wouldn't mean near as much. You wouldn't have near as much skin in the game, so to speak. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining me on today's live. If y'all would do me a favor, please go over to Stay Humble Hustle Hard Live with Tucker Bearden and like that page, show some love. And I tell you what I always say, be the blessing for others and you'll live within blessings. Share this post. Share this with others, because you never know who needs this message today. Someone might be sitting there with this shotgun shell today. They might be in the same position I was in, with a gun in their mouth and their finger on the trigger. And you sharing this message could be what makes that round not go off. It could be the little things. It's the little bitty things in this world that can save someone's life, like mine was saved that day. So thank you each and every one of you for joining. I really do appreciate it, and I hope so very much that this blessed you. If you are coming in on the end, please give me a hashtag replay. If you are coming in on the replay, if y'all are live, give me a hashtag live down in the comments. And I want to know, drop down in the comments, I really want to know what is something that happened in your life that really opened your eyes to realize that each and every moment we have is valuable, and that every second has a purpose. I'd love to hear your story. I would love to hear what opened your eyes up to that reality? Don't forget to tune in at 10 a.m. Y'all are not going to want to miss the guest on today's Stay Humble, Hustle Hard Live. Because, I mean, the guy, I'm just going to let y'all, I'm not even going to talk about it on here. This specific live is not for that. I want to stay on subject. But thank you so very much. Like I said, be the blessing for others and you'll live within blessings. Bless someone by sharing this message this morning. And don't forget to tune in. I try to tune in at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday for Stay Humble, Hustle Hard Live, where I interview the men and women building this country one business at a time, so that all of us can learn how to get our hustle on. If you don't know how to win, then you interview winners. And that's my thing, is I'm always looking to learn how to win, so I interview the people who are out there winning. So share this video, go over to Stay Humble Hustle Hard Live, give me a like, go over, if you don't mind, check me out on YouTube. Just look up Tucker Bearden on YouTube. All you got to do is Google me. I promise. I'm running the SEO on there. So thank you each and every one of you for joining me this morning. I appreciate you so very much. Please give thanks and have an attitude of gratitude for each and everything in your world. Be the blessing for others and you'll live within blessings. Thank you.